What's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, we finally got the competitor list for the Romania MuscleFest Pro, which is this weekend, for men's open bodybuilding. So we know there were some big names going into this show: Rafael Brandao, Akim Williams. But now we have the full list for Romania. So it includes Rafael Brandao, Roberto Bonomo, Mike Ciesla, Matthias Hallwick, Mike Halusi, Mark Joyce, Alexei Kuznikov, Horse MD, Marcelo De Angelis. I kind of think it's interesting how they just put Horse Marcelo. His name is Marcelo De Angelis or Horse MD. Emir Omaragic, he's kind of an interesting one in here. He'll probably be one of the top guys. Jan Turek, Akim Williams, Christian Wolski, Arbor Hemalari, Mateusz Zagorowski, and Peter Zemjak. So I still think after looking at this full competitor list, it's going to be between Rafael and Akim. I think the first call-out will probably include Rafael, Akim, Horse MD, Emir Omaragic, and Christian Wolski I think will probably be in there as well. I think that'll probably be your top five. But I think the top two will be between Rafael and Akim. And I think I talked about this quite a bit yesterday, how impressive Akim has been looking in his recent updates. And Akim posted another update today, another side shot showing crazy separation in his legs, striations in his glutes, and just overall really pretty insane thickness from the side. It seems like Akim has a very, very good look right now. And I honestly think that it's going to be close between him and Rafael. I think he looks better than he looked at the Olympia. Akim does, based on these progress pictures. I don't think we saw progress pictures this impressive from Akim in all these different angles, too, going into the Olympia. I think these progress pictures look more impressive. He looks really good. And like I said in the previous video, maybe Akim is one of these guys that an extra 4 weeks of dieting is really the extra thing that he needs to bring that level of conditioning that we don't see from him very often. And like I said, he was only one placing behind Rafael at the Olympia, so if he improves just a little bit from how he looked at the Olympia, mostly from the conditioning standpoint, I think he's got a real shot at potentially even beating Rafael, but I definitely think they'll be the top two. Now, we also got some new updates from Horse MD, this video being his latest update. And again, we're less than a week out now. We're just a few days away from these guys taking the stage. And I'm very curious to see what, if any, improvement Horse MD has made since the last time that we saw him on stage. We have not seen him since the Arnold Classic Ohio earlier this year, where he didn't place very well. And frankly, when I watch this video, I kind of expect him to be sharper than this. You don't really see, when he hits that side profile of his legs in this video, you don't really see striation in the glutes. You don't really see separation in the hamstrings. And even, when he poses his quad from the front, you don't really see deep cross striations in the quad. You can kind of see that cross striated like teardrop, but it's not super feathered. And his midsection I kind of expected to look a little bit tighter too. His abs don't look, crazy deep and etched out. So I don't know. I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to do here, because this is kind of a tough act to follow, looking at Horse from the side at kind of the same angle that we just looked at Akim, because Akim is very, very impressive in these side shots. So it's kind of underwhelming going from Akim to Horse. But overall, I am a big fan of Horse's physique. We've talked a lot about how he's a very aesthetic men's open guy. And maybe this is just a bad angle, a bad video of him, but I thought he would look a little bit tighter when we finally did see an update from him, especially considering the fact that we're just days away from him taking the stage. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, a lot of people are talking about Nick Walker again today, because it seems like potentially he may have revealed who his new coach might be. He posted a recent physique update, so people were already kind of talking about that, but then they noticed that in that physique update, he tagged a coach, Kyle Wilkes, who then reposted that same physique update of Nick Walker's on his own Instagram story. So We know for a fact Nick is not working with Matt Jansen anymore. It's not completely clear why. There's been a lot of speculation about that. And then after officially separating from Matt, there was a lot of internet speculation about who's Nick's next coach going to be. And specifically, people are throwing around a lot of the bigger name coaches, like Hani Rambod, for example, like Boss of Outlaw, for example, who's had a crazy year. And Sean Clarita, who used to work with Matt Jansen, ended up working with Boss of Outlaw. So I saw a lot of speculation about that. But based on this little tagging and reposting thing, it looks like it's Kyle Wilkes. And I'm curious what you guys think about this. Is this a good choice, a bad choice? Do you think this is actually his coach, for one? And if it is, do you think it's good or bad? Better than Matt, worse than Matt? Or would you prefer, Hani Rambod, Boss of Outlaw, whatever? What do you guys think about this if it is true? And then the other side of that coin is I kind of noticed there a couple days ago, Nick made a post where he was kind of mocking people, his fans in particular, mocking them for asking him who his new coach was. So it seemed like this was something that he was going to keep under wraps. So it kind of surprises me that if this is Nick's new coach, that Nick would tag him in the post and then have it be reposted by him and kind of give it away. Because he posted like a very sarcastic video. I'll just play it for you guys here.
As far as, I know everyone wants to know, who's your coach? Is it Hani? Is it Outlaw? Who is that? For my I won't even say my comeback. I never fucking left. So when you face obstacles, it's not a comeback. I'm not coming back from anything. I never left. I just had some shit in the way.
So posted kind of a very sarcastic video, kind of mocking people for asking him who his new coach was. And it didn't seem like it played very well with the audience. That's how I noticed it, is people were sending it to me, kind of upset that Nick was mocking his fan base for showing interest in who his new coach might be. And if you read through the comments on that post, like I said, it doesn't really look like Nick read the room very well because the fans weren't very happy with his tone in that video, which I think is a very fair standpoint from the fans. I think the fans have every right to be upset with Nick. And then if Nick mocks people that have questions that are fans, I don't think that plays very well with people that are already frustrated that he pulled out of the Olympia. And it might seem like, Nick should probably be the person that's frustrated the most that he missed the Olympia. But it is true that there's people that bought the Olympia or traveled to Vegas or bought tickets because they were fans of Nick, expecting to see him at the Olympia because he committed to competing. And then just, a week or two, however many days it was out from the show, him pulling out probably did upset a lot of his fans. So continuing on with the, I guess, like the cocky persona, I don't think is going to play very well for him. And I think, when he was winning shows and winning big shows, like the New York Pro, the Arnold Classic, placing high at the Olympia, that cocky persona worked because he was delivering on the things that he said he was going to do. And I think that's what gained him a lot of fans initially, was because he was this cocky, kind of arrogant persona, but he was winning and he was doing well and he was backing up the stuff that he was saying. But I think now it might be kind of time for him to reevaluate. Is it going to keep working now that he pulled out from the Olympia just because his body wasn't responding, he didn't look good enough? Now I don't think that persona plays the same way to his fans. And those same fans that came for that, I think now are the same fans that are going to leave because he's not backing it up now. Like I said, I think that's what gained him a lot of fans, was the fact that early on when he was cocky, he was backing it up, so it made sense for him to be that way. And I think a lot of bodybuilding fans like that. Now, I'm a little bit different because I know there's a lot of people that are hating on Nick right now, and they think that he's done and he's never going to be back on the Olympia stage. I actually don't believe that. I don't think this is the end of Nick's career. I do think he'll be back on the Olympia stage. Do I think he's going to find himself back in the top 3, I think is the bigger question. But I do think he can make a comeback, and I do think he'll be back on the Olympia stage. I mean, keep in mind, it's Nick Walker. He can win a show and get to the Olympia. I don't think that's, super out of the question just because he missed the Olympia. 2 years in a row now, but still, he might not necessarily win a bigger show like the Arnold or the New York Pro to get to the Olympia, but keep in mind, all he has to do is win a pro show to get there. I think that's well within Nick's ability, no matter what coach he's with. He's a freak. He's genetically gifted. He was meant to be a bodybuilder. He's a very hard worker. So I'm still a fan of Nick, and I think he can come back. I just think maybe he needs to adjust his persona for this kind of comeback period, because like I said, I just don't think that the whole cocky thing is playing very well with his audience right now. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, I saw this quote from Chris Bumstead, and this was quoted by Who is the Best Bodybuilder. I believe this is from one of Chris's recent YouTube videos talking about the Prague show. And I thought it was an interesting quote because this is kind of how I feel about the Prague show as well. So Chris says, I don't think I'll win the Prague Pro. I just want to give the open guy some work. For the first time in 10 years, I go to a show without thinking about being champion. So this is kind of what I've been saying when it comes to Chris doing open at this Prague show. I think it's very exciting. I think it's very cool to have that crossover, but I'm not going into it expecting Chris to win. And I don't think you guys should go into it expecting Chris to win. But I think we should go into it with the expectation that it's going to be exciting, it's going to be cool, he's going to give some of these open guys a run for their money, but also go into it with it in the back of our minds that it is unlikely for Chris to win. So if he does win, it's that much more exciting and it's that much bigger of a deal. And for it to come from Chris's own mouth here, basically saying he's not expecting to win, he's not going into this trying to be, an open bodybuilding champion, I think that makes it an even extra layer of impressive if he does win this thing. Like I said, I think it's unlikely. I think Martin is the favorite going into this. He's a top 4 open Olympian. However, if Chris does win this, I still think it's one of the most impressive, exciting stories of the year. Like I said, very little time to prepare after the Olympia to make those adjustments to go to open bodybuilding. Then even kind of hearing that this is his mindset going into the show, that he's just kind of having fun here, I think that would make it even more impressive if he wins. And then the fact that, yesterday we learned he's 260 pounds going into this show, which is 22, 23 pounds heavier than Martin. Granted, there's a big height difference there, but still. This is just kind of the expectation I think we should go into this show with. It's very exciting. It's very cool. It's a crossover you don't see every day. But I think you should go into this with your expectations adjusted for Chris. His chance of winning this is probably pretty slim, but it would be exciting if he did, is kind of the way I would go into this show. So I don't want people to be, disappointed if Chris loses, because chances are he's probably not going to beat Martin, but anything could happen in bodybuilding, which is what makes it so exciting. And I mean, just imagine if he did beat Martin, how crazy that would be. And speaking of Martin, we did get one new physique update from Martin today. We're talking about under 2 weeks out now, this abs and thighs shot, which is, in my opinion, one of his best shots. He's got some pretty crazy legs on him. And I really, truly think going into this Prague show, with Martin being a top 4 Olympian, Chris being the classic physique champ, I really do think this might be the 3rd most watched show of the year. I think you're going to have the Olympia and the Arnold in the top 2 spots. And I think this Prague show, because of this lineup, including Chris, including Martin, and whoever else jumps in here, like I said, I have a strong feeling we're going to see some other names join this lineup. But I think this will be the number 3 most watched show of the year. I really do. Because like I said, even with Chris kind of saying this is just for fun, he's not taking it super serious, he doesn't think he's going to win, there is that chance that we're witnessing bodybuilding history right now, that people, 5, 10, 20 years from now look back at the Chris Bumstead era. Imagine if Chris does win this show. Like I said, I think it's unlikely, but imagine he does, not taking it seriously, not a lot of time to prepare, and then imagine he does decide to do the Open Olympia and then does really well in Open, or hell, what if he somehow won the Open Olympia? That's a little extreme, but These types of crossovers we don't see very often. So I think people are going to look back and say this was bodybuilding history no matter what the result ends up being. But especially if you look back and say, if Chris won right after retiring from Classic Physique, I think we're definitely witnessing bodybuilding history right now. And hell, I mean, Martin Fitzwater, we might be witnessing the rise of, a top 2 Olympian in Martin. This was his Olympia debut in open bodybuilding, where he got top 4. Last year, he couldn't even win a pro show. Granted, he was placing high at the shows that he was doing, but he went from not being able to win a pro show last year to top 4 at the Olympia. We're also witnessing the rise of Martin. This is a pretty quick rise to the top for him. And I think he is getting overshadowed a little bit by Chris Bumstead being in this lineup, but how good Martin really is. I mean, think about that. Not being able to win a show or qualify for the Olympia a year ago to top 4 at the Olympia this year is a pretty damn fast come up. But that's going to wrap it up for the video, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below about all the stories in today's video. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon if you have not already. And as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at NickStrengthPower. My Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power. My secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.